Okay, so wanting to talk about how we can make our lives easier, because do you guys ever find yourselves doing the same things over and over again and going, okay, like this is kind of hard every time I do it? Or the other thing is that I kind of say to myself is like, "Oh, such a hassle." Like that's my thing. I always say, such a hassle. Hey sis, my sister's here, Lori. Hi. I say to myself, oh, that's such a hassle. So if it's something that you're super excited to do, you will turn heaven and earth, and it doesn't matter that's a hassle because you love it. But let's say that there's some things that it's like, maybe it's not your favorite, or it's a little bit of a push, or it's easier to do something that's not as healthy. That's when it's super important to make these processes for yourself a lot easier. And I'm going to give you a scenario here. So here's a scenario. You come home from work and you're hungry. Okay. You have nothing planned. You have nothing prepped. You have nothing bought. Okay. Hungry is now turning into hangry. And when hangry happens, that's when you reach into hubby's bag of Doritos and you start eating them because you just can't control yourself. I'm not saying from personal examples or anything, but that kind of thing can happen. If you don't plan ahead and then you get to that point where you're super hungry or something, you may reach for something that you really hadn't intended. And if you had something really good and healthy sort of sitting there ready, you would have gone for that. And that's where planning ahead really helps. It only takes a small amount of time. This is the other thing I've realized over the years. It only takes a small amount of extra time to save you a ton of time on the other end. But at the time when you're doing it, you might think, oh, gee, that's, do I have time to prep food? Do I have time to plan ahead with my meals and stuff? But the time that you save on the other end is actually quite incredible. So planning ahead, let's talk about the stuff that's the most obvious that we talk about here in the group. So before your work week starts, figuring out what your recipes are going to be, plan out your menu for the week. From that, you can plan out your grocery list, then do your grocery shopping, then do some food prep, do all of that before your work week starts. That kind of stuff we talk about all the time. One thing I will talk about the grocery shopping, and this is something that I am like kind of a freak on about, is that I have my on deck favorites. Okay. So if I have favorites that I cannot live without. Okay. So like I've got a favorite avocado oil. I have my favorite tomato sauces. I have my sweeteners. Of course, I have my products, my Intentionally Bare products, of course. But the things that are my absolute favorites, I never let them go down more than one is already on deck. So I'm using one and I have a full one on deck. And when the one I'm using gets used and I reach for the one that it's in my pantry and it's my last one, then I write it on the list. Like I always want to have that one extra, because there is nothing worse than running out of your favorite thing and then you can't make it. So that's just like a personal thing that I have to say, because so I am in charge of that now. No one in the family, if they actually run out of something, if they reach for something and they don't write it on the list, it's not good. So they know, and I make sure that I'm on top of it. So that's one little tip. Okay, so when you're thinking about planning ahead for your meals and stuff, I know one thing that I hear from people all the time. They say, I don't know what to make. Okay, so here's another little work ahead tip. When you see recipes like on Pinterest, YouTube, and my favorite these days is TikTok, I save them on my phone. I have on my phone, you guys, most of you are probably Apple people, your notes right there, your little notepad right there. I have one called New Keto Recipes to Try. And every time I come across one of these recipes, you can always, if you're on TikTok, there's that little button to copy. If you're on YouTube, there's the little arrow for copying. On Pinterest, you can copy every single thing on social media. You can copy it and it gives you a link. I put the link under new keto recipes to try, so that they're all sitting in one spot. Then when I go to make up my menu and I'm thinking, what am I going to do this week? Oh, and I go through and I'll probably have like 20 or 30 recipes that I have seen over the last week. And I'll go through and go, yes, no, yes. Oh, maybe I'll try it. Da, da, da. And then from there, I can make up my menu and I can make up my grocery list. So that's one little tip, because sometimes people, you can go in search of the recipes at the time that you're making up your menu, but I find that's cumbersome. So, if you've got recipe books or something and you feel like looking through there, you can totally do that. But I find this little link save thing works like a dream. And then once I try the recipe, then I put it under another thing called tried and true, recipes or whatever. And that's usually, once I've tried it, that's usually when I share it with you guys and I give you the link. Anyway, so save it to your phone. And then another option too is in our group, we do have a section called topics. And if you look under the main image of the group, and then underneath there's like announcements, guides, and then there's topics. It might be slightly to the right. You may have to swipe left to find it. But anyways, under topics, I have recipes stored under the type of recipe they are, like if it's pizza, if it's veggies, if it's beef, that kind of a thing. And there are a ton of tried and true favorites, group favorites in there. So you guys can always look in there if you're looking for recipe ideas. But basically what I'm trying to say is like planning ahead. I know it sounds cumbersome, but it saves so much time than kind of winging it every day. Okay, also prepping the food when you get home or before your work week starts, that really helps. Anything that you can do ahead of time, chopping up the veggies, dicing up the veggies so that they're ready to eat. What about boiling a bunch of eggs, right? Just boil up a bunch of eggs and just have them in the fridge in a sealed container so it doesn't stink up your fridge. But have those at the ready instead of, you're like, oh, gee, I wish I had a boiled egg to put on my salad. Now you've got 7 eggs already boiled sitting there. Just little things like that make a huge difference. When you're making your meals, I rarely just make the one meal. Unless maybe I'm thinking it might not be a favorite, but I'm saying if it's something that I'm pretty certain is going to be good, or I've made it before and I know it's going to be good, I will make double or sometimes triple of it, especially when it comes to like soups and sauces and things like that. I make a huge batch, but anything really goes because pretty much anything is freezable, right? And what I love about this idea is that you put it in individual servings when you're freezing it. I have painter's tape in my drawer in my kitchen, and I take a little piece of that and I put it across the top. I write the date on it and I put the exact macros that are in that serving. So sometime when I'm in a hurry or my husband's out of town, that happens quite often, and I'm looking for something just for me quick and easy, I can just pull it out of the freezer. I know exactly what my macros are. Boom. It makes life so much easier. And if you live alone, this is even, super helpful for you, because you can make a nice big recipe, for 4 or whatever, and then divide it up in individual. And then you've got yourself 4 dinners or whatever. So that's super helpful. Portion out the things that you eat regularly. Okay. So in Canada, we don't have as many options as you guys have in the States. Like in the States, I noticed that you have like Too Good yogurt and you've got all these things already, in your nice little sizes or whatever. But in Canada, we don't have that as much. And so I myself am a Costco shopper. I absolutely love Costco, and I buy things in big portions. So if I'm buying Greek yogurt or I buy a big thing cottage cheese or whatever, I like to divide them up because it's usually half cup servings. And I have these little containers, just Rubbermaid containers, and I will measure out a half a cup or 1 cup, like depending on what my serving is. Again, I'll mark the top of it so I remember what it was. And then if I've got, fresh berries or something, I'll measure those out, get them in there. And I've got that stacked up in my fridge. And then when I want that as my every night, I'm going to have it for dessert for a few days or whatever, it's already done. I just find it's a lot easier for me to take the high road when it's the easy road. I don't know about you guys, but it's just a lot easier for me to reach for the things that I shouldn't when I'm kind of tired and I'm kind of lazy and I just kind of don't really feel like measuring things out, that's honestly when I stop tracking a lot of times, because I'm just too tired. I just don't really want to do it. And I find that if I have my things organized ahead of time, then it's so much easier for me to track and to know exactly what I'm doing. And I'm much more successful when I'm tracking. Another thing I love to do too is I love grating up a whole block of Costco cheese. Now I know you guys could say that you can buy the cheese already grated. Myself personally, I don't love it, and that's because they put in chemicals. Sorry to tell you, but they do. They put in chemicals to keep the cheese from sticking together. And I don't want those chemicals, but I want the grated cheese. So I'll take like a full big Costco brick. And I actually treated myself to an adjustment. My sister Lori might want to hear this. It's an adjustment on my KitchenAid. And I think it was $75 or something, but I bought it for my birthday. And it fits on the end of the KitchenAid, and you cut up the cheese just in the width that fits into it. And like, I am not kidding you. I mean, I'm talking big hunks of cheese, just grated just like that. And I put it all in a bag, and usually it makes so much, half of it I'll put in the freezer, and then the other half I put it in the fridge. But just having that cheese already grated makes it so much easier. Every time I'm doing any kind of recipes, I can just measure it out. Super easy. I usually do 1 cheddar and I do 1 mozzarella. Every time I go to Costco, I usually get that. What else? Oh, yes. Okay. So I was going to bring my example to show you, darn it all. And I was in kind of a hurry to get down here and I forgot. But like, okay, here's another example. I'm not saying it has to be mine, but I'm going to show you the example of mine. Every day, this is can you see that? Every day, this is my anti-aging drink. Okay. So these containers, my collagen peptides, my MCT powder, and my bone broth. All those together make up my anti-aging drink that I have every single day. And I don't know why it took me so long to figure this out, but every day I would pull this out of my cupboard. I would measure everything in. I would add my almond milk and a little squirt of my stevia flavoring, and I would make it. And because I enjoy this so much, it really wasn't, a hassle factor. But it dawned on me a couple of weeks ago, like, why am I pulling out the containers every single time and measuring them out every single time when I have it the same every single time? So I have these little Tupperware, when you buy, not Tupperware, sorry, Rubbermaid. You buy the box of Rubbermaid from like Walmart, and it comes with all these different sizes. And there's that one that's like 2-inch by 2-inch by 2-inch. It's like the little square guy. And it is perfect for this. It is absolutely perfect. I measure out my powders and I put them in there, and they're all stacked up in the cupboard. And every single day when I want to have it, I just grab one, pour in my almond milk, chuck it in, put in my flavoring, blend it up, done. It's like, why didn't I think of that a long time ago? I don't know why. But anyways, whatever type of a drink that you find that you have on a regular basis, your protein shake, and maybe you add a collagen to it, or you add some vitamin C powder, whatever your little concoction is, have them pre-ready. It just makes your life so much easier. And say you're out and about or something, you can even throw it in your purse and, bring, your almond milk in a container or whatever. I don't know, going to a friend's house or something like that. But just having it in the container just makes it so much easier. Hey, Bonnie, good to see you. So that's one thing I do. And then I also have this morning, this sounds so lazy, but it has helped me immensely. So I have this morning green drink. It's my own concoction, and it's just something that I've done for probably about 2 years. And it's this really god-awful seaweed powder that is just, it's unpalatable on its own, right? So I add my BHB to it. I add some vitamin C powder. I add this pre-fiber thing, whatever. It's a concoction. And there's like 4 or 5 things that I put into this. That is the thing that is not my favorite, but I know it's good for me. And I know it's good for me. So if I'm feeling really good resolve that morning, I will get out my containers and I will make them blah, blah, blah. But since I started this, putting them in the little containers, I do 7 days in advance, and I have it all ready. So literally all I have to do in the morning is just add it to my water, mix it up, and drink it. There's no excuses. There's no excuses not to do it. I even sometimes put it on the counter the night before just to be sure that I'm not going to forget. But it was enough to make me not do it. If I woke up in the morning and maybe I didn't have a good sleep and I was kind of tired, and all I can think about is my amazing fatty coffee, Not having that powder ready was enough to make me go right to my fatty coffee and skip my green drink that I know is very good for me and very good for my thyroid. So now I have no excuses. Now I haven't missed a day in like months because I have that already ready. And I just reuse the containers. Like every time I use a container for a green drink, like I just throw it in the drawer, right? And every time I use a container for my anti-aging drink, I throw that in the drawer. And then when I go to make them again, I literally use the ones with stained green for the green ones and the one that's got the powder. And I don't wash them in the dishwasher every time. Why? They're not dirty. They're not getting moldy, nothing like that. And then that saves too, because I don't want to be doing dishes all the time. That's like such a drag. Bonnie, do you ever find that the BHB changes color if stored in a baggie? I'm not sure about that, Bonnie, because I've never stored it in a baggie. I use those little Rubbermaid containers, which is like a hard plastic clear on the bottom. And I don't think I've ever done it just on its own. I've always put it with this green powder. So I don't know, because it's mixed in with the green. So I actually don't know why. I guess you've noticed that the BHB has changed color. I don't know. Interesting. I don't think it would do anything to it at all. Like as far as it doesn't change it. Do you think it's still okay to use? Oh yeah, totally. Totally. Oh yeah. I have mine all mixed. No, it's totally fine, Bonnie. Don't even worry about it. Maybe it's just the light on it or something like that. No, that wouldn't make a difference. It's still fine. Okay, so what else? What other ideas do I have for you guys? Okay, another thing about planning in advance is using your macro tracker. That's the other thing. Your macro tracker, even things like all your favorite foods that you love all the time, just getting them in there. I've heard other people say like, oh, I got to enter it in every time, or I have to scan it every time. No, you can save it in your tracker. So in case you don't do that, that's something you can do. But another thing you can do is the things that you eat all the time, save them as recipes in your tracker. That's super helpful too. Like I have certain things that I eat all the time, and it is so helpful to have it in my tracker all done. And it tells me exactly, it'll say like, okay, my spinach salad, I've got 4 cups of spinach, and I've got a 1/4 cup of red onion, and I've got, and it's just so much easier to make it because I can see what's there, and I can also see exactly what my macros are, and I can plan ahead. So having that in your tracker ahead of time really, really helps. What else? And planning out the next day's meals. I know some people in the group are really good at this. Thinking ahead for tomorrow. Like I have certain things that I do. Like I always have my fatty coffee. I always have my anti-aging drink. So there's certain things, right? And hey, Kim, better late than never. And so I will put them in ahead of time because I know I'm for sure having that. But some people will actually plan their whole next day the day before, just to help them to be a lot more accountable and easier, and to know what they're going to have or whatever. So that's also another really good thing. Okay, if you guys are soup fans, and I know you've heard me talk about this before, and definitely look in guide number 5 for more tips on making homemade soup and homemade broth, because I talk about that a ton in there. It's so good for you. But this is something that really helps you come soup making day. I keep large Ziploc bags in the freezer and I mark them. So I have one for veggies. I've got one for beef, one for chicken. Sometimes I have one for pork. It depends. But I just keep them in there all the time. And when I'm making a meal, like if we have, chicken on the bone or whatever, like I will ask the family members, hey, do you mind if I kind of cut the chicken off the bone or whatever before you start gnawing on it? They don't care. And I cut it off and I take the chicken bones and I chuck it in the freezer in the Ziploc marked chicken. Or if I have a big carcass of something, I'll put the carcass in there or whatever. If I have some leftovers from a meal, like say we were having chicken and there was not really enough to have another whole meal, I'll just take that chicken and chuck it in the bag. If I do veggies and I've washed my veggies, but now I'm peeling them. Or, when you do celery, and I don't know why, because it tastes the same really, but how there's that little nub on the end of the celery and it's kind of like, I don't know why, but I always cut that nub off and I don't eat it when I'm eating my celery and there's just this little leftover piece. I throw it in the veggie bag. If I'm doing onions, the outside skin of the onions are so good for you and the flavor is really good. I throw that in the veggie thing. But, any kind of, I don't do potato skins, but I do like carrot skins and, what else do I do? Like basically any kind of veggies that you would use when you're making soup. And I just chuck it in the freezer. And when it comes to making soup day, like I'll look in there and go, wow, I got a full bag of chicken bones, chicken pieces, whatever, a carcass in there, small carcass from a rotisserie chicken or something like that. And I'm going to throw that and my veggie bag into my Instapot or crock pot if that's what you use, but Instapot's great. Throw it in there, add my water, some apple cider vinegar, and get that thing going. And it makes the most amazing soup. And it's not like you didn't have to say, oh, gee, I have to go and buy all the stuff to make soup. It's in the freezer. Like you just let it add up until you have enough to make soup. I have been doing this for years, and it honestly just saves me so much time to do it that way. And it uses up your scraps. So instead of throwing it in the garbage or, if you have a compost, that's good. But like, let's say you don't have a composter, it saves the landfill because you're going to use it again. What else? Not food related. I'm looking at my notes here. Not food related. This is something that I have to do for myself. I have started working out in the mornings. I have gone over it and over and over it. And I've just realized if I don't get it done in the morning, I'm not going to do it because what does my sister say? I have an aversion to movement. And it's true. I do kind of, I'm not totally, but the thought of exercising, I'm not one of those people that gets all excited because you're going to go to the gym or whatever. And I decided that's it. Every morning I'm coming down and I'm going to do my little workout. And then if throughout the week I can get myself to the gym and do some of the things I can't do at home, then bonus, but at least I'm doing the things that I really want to do. And this is the thinking ahead part is I put my workout clothes in my bathroom night before, sitting right there. When I get up in the morning to brush my teeth, they are sitting right there. I don't even get dressed in my normal work clothes. I get right into my workout clothes and I go downstairs there immediately. It's like, it's a cue. It's a cue that tells me I don't have to remember. I know that I have to work out, but if I didn't see the clothes sitting there, it would be enough for me to go, oh, I just want to go have my coffee or whatever. But I see them sitting there. So it's either put them on and get it over with, or I have to now go put the clothes away. So I may as well just get them on and get the dang thing done. So anyway, that's just another thing that, might help you, motivate you, just get that thing done ahead of time. So, ask yourself, what are things? These are just examples. These are just my examples in my life. And I'm sure you guys have some stuff yourself. I'm going to look back and see if you guys have any things to share. But anytime you find yourself going, oh, that's a hassle, or, oh, I don't want to do that or whatever, but it's good for you. It's good for you and you really want to do it. Think to yourself, how can I make this easier on myself? What's the easiest thing I can do so that I will do it? Right? Make your life easier and it will be easier. Honestly, I'm going to go back here and look and see. Oh, I don't see. Oh, come on, you guys. You must have some ideas. Well, Bonnie did mention the BHB in the baggie, so maybe she takes it somewhere with her. More like the color of baby aspirin. Yeah, I don't know why that would be. I can't say that. Of course, baggy probably has some properties to it, and then maybe it does something. I honestly don't know, Bonnie. I really don't. I'll try it and just see what happens. But you could, if it's bothering you, you could try putting it in a BPA safe container, which is the containers that I use. Says right, has a little BPA safe thing on it. And there's all kinds of containers that you can get at the store that are like that. And if it really bothers you, you can get like little mini glass containers. Then for sure nothing is leaching in. But I'll do some testing myself and just see. I've never actually tested it. So Bonnie, I think I'll do the smaller container. Yeah, the smaller container works really good. Another one that's really good too, if you guys are into Tupperware has a little guy. Do I have it here? I'm looking. Shoot. No, I must have put it in my purse. I don't have it sitting right here on my desk. But Tupperware has a little guy. It's kind of like, and it kind of goes down in a little bit of a V, and it's got a really tight lid on it. And it's a little smaller than the Rubbermaid 2x2 one. And I find that one is really great for something small. Like say you want to have 2 scoops of MCT powder, or you want to have 1 scoop of BHB or something like that, 1 serving of something. And it's super small, fits into your purse like no problem, or into your lunch bag or whatever. Oh, a midget. Oh, okay. So you must know Tupperware. I'm sorry. I don't know the lingo, but that's probably what it's called, as a midget. I need to get another set. Every time I go to like a home show or something and I see somebody there selling Tupperware, I'm like, "Ooh, do you have the little guys?" Because I don't know, they somehow disappear. Like people in my family use them, I use them, whatever, and all of a sudden I don't have any, which is disappointing when you need it. My sister says, I'm fortunate to be at home in the morning and find prepping for dinner in the morning makes dinner time so much easier. Yes, exactly. That's awesome. That's a really good point too. Just prepping everything in the morning and then you're totally ready for dinner. And if you're able to do that, then that's great. If you have to work the next day, even doing it the night before. But like I said, prepping for an entire week, like I know people that will literally have everything prepped for the entire week. And if that's a lot for you, even just doing the next day or a couple of days is really super good. Bonnie, I just bought some at the state fair. Oh, the midgets. Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, they're so handy. I use them for everything. I use them for even just keeping in like safety pins and stuff. Or I think I put in just like sometimes you put in a miscellaneous, like, I don't know, Advil and Tums or something, and you just have that in your purse for just in case, but you just want it to be like nice and sealed and stuff. It's just the perfect size. I just love that little thing. Yeah. So, I mean, those are just my ideas. Those are just things to keep in mind. But I just think that at the time you're doing something, 2 things. Am I doing something that I could do more of right now that's going to help me later on down the road? Example, spaghetti sauce. You're already making the sauce, or you're already cooking the ground beef. Could you cook up 2 packages and put the other ground beef in the freezer so the next time the ground beef's already cooked for you, those kind of things? Or is there something I kind of avoid, or I kind of dread, or I kind of skip out on because it's not my favorite anyway? So how could I simplify things and make things easier for myself so it makes it easier for me to do the right thing, such as your morning drink or something like that? Those are things to keep in mind, and you'll come up with your own stuff. Kim, I pre-cook onion, mushroom, ground meats, and freeze to avoid time cooking ground beef when I'm sore and tired. Never freeze ground meat now. Always cook before I freeze. Yes. Oh, yes, exactly. So as soon as you get that ground beef home, right away you're cooking it up and adding your stuff in it and then freezing. That is such a great idea. And I mean, think about it. When you come back with your like, say you've gone grocery shopping and there's always work to be done when you're putting things away or whatever. It's like, get the frying pan out, get the ground beef, get the onions, get that cooking. And as you're putting things away and separating your food and cutting up your veggies or whatever, stirring that beef. And by the time you've got everything put away, your ground beef is now done. And now you can section it off in containers or baggies or however you do it and mark it and put it in the freezer. That is such a great idea. I'm going to do that. I do that when I'm actually making a meal with the ground beef, but I haven't actually done it when I come home from the store with the ground beef from the get-go. And I'm going to do that next time. That is a really great idea, Kim. I am totally doing that. It's just going to be on my mind, like right away, just do it. Oh yeah. Because that right there can stop you from making a really good recipe, because you're like, oh, I don't want to cook the ground beef, or I got to thaw it first and then I don't have enough time and blah, blah, blah. It's just so easy to make excuses, right? So anytime we can make things easier for ourselves, I just love it. Love, love, love it. Yes, I buy pre-cut onions at the superstore, just cut mushrooms. There's pre-cut onions at the superstore? Well, that's interesting. I had no idea. I actually have one of those chopper things. I mean, I actually don't mind kind of chopping things up, but I have one of those little chopper things where you cut the onion in half and then you put it on there and you just go, and the thing just does it. So it's just like 1 hack, 2 hack, and 1 whole onion is done. It does it. It's pretty easy, actually. So that's interesting, though, that Superstore has that. I had no idea. Anyways, you guys, it was really great to talk to you after my 2 weeks being off. It feels like it's been forever. And keep it classy and a bit smart-assy. I love this mug. I totally love this mug. Okay, before I go, Bonnie, I buy pre-cut frozen green peppers and onions. Awesome. Awesome. Yep, anything that's going to help you. anything that's going to help you, I say you go for it. Anyways, you guys, we can talk about this more in the group, but any ideas that you have, just post it because it helps all of us. Anyways, really good to see you guys again, and I hope you have a really nice night. Talk to you later. Bye, guys. Hey guys, before you go, hit the like and subscribe button if you haven't already, and hit the bell notification so you can be notified every time we have a new video posted. Also, down in the description, I will have links to everything that we talked about in our chat today, including information on how you can join my Intentionally Bare Keto support group. See you next time.